Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, your host, and we will be here for the next hour. This is a talk show where we focus in depth on one or two topics that are of interest to you. If you would like to follow us on Facebook, search for the Houston Indians page and click the like button. You will get latest information, news, views from around the world and calendar of events in and around Houston. You can join in the conversation by calling 281-983-9550. The telephone number again is 281-983-9550. If you would like to be a guest on this program, please contact us at 281-265-7567. This program in part has been sponsored by Sugarland Heart Center. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, your host, and now we are going to be talking about teen troubles. To help us with that one, we have a psychiatrist. I thought maybe I change music so we get a little more relaxing music because we're going to be talking about hot topics. My special guest is Dr. Ashok Jain, and he also has a
thank you,
friend. Yeah, Ashok, welcome to All India Radio Houston. Yeah, you can introduce your guest.
Thanks a lot, Nick, for having me. Yeah. It's my pleasure having and talking to you all. And hopefully it will be very productive. And we have with us Jennifer. She's my psychologist and amazing person. So hopefully we'll be of service today, and we'll talk. We have a lot to talk about our teenager problems today and the ongoing calamity happening to us in the society. Yes. So I'm really pleased to be here.
Okay, then Ashok, let's start off with we are talking about Desi children, right?
Yes.
What are the most common problems you have encountered in your practice?
Well, I have a fairly large Desi teenager patient population in my practice, but in the broader sense, the problem is not only the one I have. The problem is what we don't have.
I see.
Because of the significant cultural gap, or
that's a very important
dilemma
point.
We have.
So what you see, we can treat. What you don't see, there's nothing you can do, and some of them may be getting into a lot more trouble.
Yes.
Without getting any help.
Yes, and that's precisely the point. Unfortunately, because of the Asian denial, I must say, there's a lot less acceptance of the problems teenagers have, and unfortunately parents, especially parents, don't want to accept that their kid might have a problem, and they don't seek the help. Unfortunately, that is very detrimental to the teenager's life.
So let's start with some of the most common problems we encounter, and how we can help the community in trying to educate them as to what are the things they need to look for, and when do they seek psychiatric or psychological help.
Right. Currently, and I'm talking about all through the generational gap.
Yes.
I'm a first generation in USA, and I can speak for myself as a parent, but I presume there are a lot of first generation parents are listening, and the main problem we have is the drive we had in us to succeed. That drive never dies down, and we want to put that drive to our kids, not realizing that they are much more secure and safe in their mind than we used to be. And what happens is that we put a lot of undue pressure on our kids, and that leads to a lot of problems. Not only that, our kids, even if we are very supportive, they find a lot of pressure in the society. And what we see is that there is a lot of peer pressure, there is a lot of educational pressure, a lot of cultural pressure, like teenager pregnancies. There is drugs around in the society, and those they have to deal with all around, and it doesn't discriminate between the cultures. Basically, those problems are there prevalent in society. and these teenagers have to deal with that day out and day in.
So you think among the Desi population, the pressure from inside the family is an additional factor compared to the mainstream Americans?
Absolutely, Nick. We need to realize that
Yeah.
our growing up was vastly different, and I'm
Oh,
talking
yes.
about the first generational parents.
Yeah.
Our growing up was vastly different than the teenagers who are growing up over here.
Yes.
We never heard about, at least in majority of the first generation parents over here, have never heard about drugs in India. They
I
have
know,
been
yeah.
using or anything like that, or they knew of anybody. The maximum you could see was alcohol over there.
Yeah.
But over here, you see the drugs are very common. So that cultural gap,
Yes.
the racial gap is much more widened over here. And that's what we are observing. And that leads to deficit in communication between the parents and the kid.
Is this some sort of like a denial or unacceptance by the parents that well, my kid can't be doing drugs?
And it's just something like learning a new language
Yeah,
for all
that-
of us. You know,
yeah.
they don't understand. We don't understand that.
Yeah.
That the kid may have a problem. They are facing those things.
Yeah.
I remember long time back, and my son was in it's like in middle school, and my daughter was in middle school, and
Yeah.
my daughter said, "Oh, Dad, what's the big deal? The Mariana and the
Yeah.
weed is so common all across." It is in middle school.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I said, "Well, not in my house." you know.
Yeah.
So yes, I can never fathom that. I
Yeah.
still have never seen. I'm treating addiction, but I never seen weed. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of generation gap over there.
So I mean, so we are talking about drugs. So how do parents recognize that there is a problem with their teenager? What kind of things they look for, and when should they seek help? Somebody like you or a psychologist to really get to the bottom of this problem.
Well, the broader question is, I would say that when the teenager is having problem, first of all, how do you see that, recognize that, and how to seek help? And it's very hard, especially when you don't have a good liaison with your kid.
Yeah.
So the first solution is first of all to identify any aberrant behaviors.
Yeah.
If they're changing in any habits, if their performance in the school is going down, if they are more defiant, they're having a lot of issues in their interpersonal relationships, they are more confined to their room, and all these issues are very classical
These are very important points because a lot of times we think teenagers are like that. They are locked up in their rooms. Because I had 3 teenagers growing up, and I have seen most of the time they're kind of running away from their parents.
Exactly. And anyway, we have kind of made this our standard, like
Yeah.
as our growing up standard, that
That's
okay,
right.
teenagers should be isolated. But that creates a problem for us because we cannot identify
Yeah.
when they are isolated and having problems at the same time.
So what do they do? Let's say they got a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old teenager who is having these kind of behaviors. Where do they start?
Well, and that's a hard question for a lot of parents. And
Yeah.
Because, see, the thing is that there is a fine balance between giving a autonomy to
Yeah.
the kid and being a very controlling parent.
Yes.
So, and that's you can never be a less controlling parent. No matter how much less control you do, the kid
Yeah.
will think that you are controlling, no matter what.
Yes, that is true.
So that's given.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we were growing up in a very strict parenting,
Yeah.
and we have to change that perception in
Yeah.
our mind if we want to arrive at a solution that we cannot be that strict parent.
I
These
see, yeah.
kids have much more opportunities, much more liberty, and much more horizons to cross.
Yeah.
And we cannot be simply thinking that okay, they have no choices, and then we have to be very strict with them. So,
Okay.
coming back to that, looking at their breaking their isolation,
Yeah.
we need to develop some strategies where they are more involved with their parents or their siblings, so that those behavior which are problematic can be identified.
Okay, hold your thought, and we'll be right back after these messages. We are talking to Dr. Ashok Jain. He is a board certified psychiatrist. We are talking about teen troubles in the Desi land. So we'll be right back after these messages. If you have any questions, please make a note of this. The telephone number to call here is 281-983-9550. I mean, you can use any name you want. You don't have to give out your real name, but you want to find answers. I mean, that's what we are here to guide you with the educational material. This is not a medical advice. Mohideen specializes in vascular diseases of the legs and arterial grafts. Their office is located at 20403 University Boulevard, Sugar Land, Texas. Their telephone number is 281-302-6292. Again, 281-302-6292. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You are listening to All India Radio Houston. We are talking about teen troubles in the Desi land. My special guest is Dr. Ashok Jain. He is a board certified psychiatrist practicing in Sugar Land. We were talking about drugs. So let's move on to another major topic that you see in the Desi community, teenagers.
One of the things is that performance pressure among the teenagers. We see a lot of, especially the Asian teenagers, they are under tremendous pressure from their parents for achieving the best they can be. Nothing is good enough for the parent. They have to be according to some optimum standard of the parent. Suppose I know one friend of mine, his daughter wanted to be a speech pathologist, and the father wanted her to be a doctor, and he is disheartened and broken-hearted when you think about speech pathologist is a very highly successful career. So that performance anxiety which we put upon the kids is a major problem, and that really breaks their spirit a lot of times. I see a lot of, especially the Asian kids again, they come to me, they feel that they are failure because their parents think they are failure, they have not achieved what they could. While they might have done like Sachin had done. He's an MBA from Rice University, and he's a highly successful guy. And if the parental pressures are there, then it may be not adequate enough, So that cutting down your expectation level from the kids is a humongous important goal we have to achieve.
What I gather from your discussions are that it's not only teen troubles, but it's a team effort by both the children and the parents. So there's a lot of education that needs to go into the Desi parents.
I agree. I agree. Understand one thing. You're absolutely right, Nick. That what is a teenager? When you think about it, teenager is simply a baby turning into adulthood. And they are very much influenced by their cultural, their parental, by their familial, as well as by their peers, by their school, and their. And don't forget the network today. That's the pressure,
the social media.
And social media, so their personality is shaping up, their identity is becoming over there, So we have to realize that yes, parents have to be there, but teenager is itself growing, and they are being shaped by these outside forces. So obviously we have to look at that they are not in contact with any bad influences, but at the same time we cannot decide their fate.
So what would be your approach to parents who are overbearing in terms of expecting things which their children may not be interested, or maybe they feel like nothing is going to be good for their parents?
Yes, I'll tell you a very good example. I had another Asian parent. His daughter was my one of my mentor. I was mentoring the daughter, and the parents were very much pushy. And she got accepted in Johns Hopkins, and she did biomedical engineering. She was in pre-med, and but that was not good enough for them. And ultimately, she came after first semester, and she never went back to college. She's now serving in a golf course, being a caddy over there, So it can break their spirit, and we need to realize that. At the same time, the other aspect is that when you have to give them up, and that's a very, very difficult action to do, because what you do when your kid is defiant, aggressive, agitated, refusing to listen to you, going out in the middle of the night, what are we going to do? And those cases, the concept which I advocate to my parents is loving detachment. You love them, but detach yourself from the consequences they are doing. So they have to be responsible for their consequences. As adult, they have to bear what they are doing. So we can't be, as a parent, keep on holding whatever the actions they've done, the consequences of those. So a lot of times when the parents call, today I had a lawyer call me and said my daughter is refusing to listen to me, and she's actually, what happened, that he went to gym, and when he came back, 2 of the boys were coming out of his house, and they were alone with the girl. And she had some sexual promiscuity before. So he was going to ask, and she said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to you. And she's a 14-year-old girl. So in those cases, you have to be sure that you're seeking help. You're taking action on those. You're not ignoring those things. These are important things you have to identify and then not sleep over.
That's very interesting. Okay, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Sitaram Foundation, the folks who brought you the Dasara Mela 2012 and Dasara Mela 2013 at the Skeeters Stadium. The preparations for Dasara Mela 2014 are already underway. If you would like to participate in the bhajans, dances, Ramleela stage show, parade, or if you would like to volunteer, or if you would like to sponsor Dasara Mela 2014, please contact the Sri Sitaram Foundation at 713-714-5680 or visit www.sitaram.org. Stay tuned for Dasara Mela 2014.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, your host, and we are talking about teen troubles in the Desi land. Our special guest here today is Dr. Ashok Jain. His program has also been sponsored by Ravi Soumya-Zula, who is a plastic surgeon in Sugarland, and also by Dr. Shanti Bansal, who is an electrical specialist of the heart. So we want to thank these physicians who have supported this program. This is a voluntary program where we'd like to bring in a lot of interesting guests from various aspects of the community so that we can learn and grow as we talk. I also want to tell you, next week we are going to be talking about Jain culture or Jainism. Today we talked about Govinda Gudiya Mutt group. Next week we're going to be talking about, I should have had Ashok Jain next week.
I would love to be here.
You can come back, man.
All right, I will try to. I've lost my clinic today. Maybe I can do that next week.
Good, because we're going to be talking about Jainism next week.
Love to talk.
And we're also going to talk about their Raja Harishchandra stage show, which they are going to be putting up at the Cullen Performance Hall on January 11th. So we're going to have a couple of guests. I would like to welcome you back because we're going to explore everything about Jainism. I think you will be a great, you can greatly contribute to the Jainism understanding because there are a lot of people are not really clear with, what each groups stand for, because we never go to other temples and other groups.
It's a very misunderstood.
See, that's why. So that is on 13th. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to mark your calendars on 29th. 29th is going to be a New Year's resolution solving day. So that's the day you want to call in with your New Year resolutions. In fact, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a New Year's resolution, 7 steps to accomplish your New Year's resolution. I'm going to be talking about that. In addition to that, we're going to have Mr. Mogo, M-A-G-O, who is an internationally recognized handwriting specialist. He's been a consultant to the Indian government and all major corporations in India. So he is going to be here in the studio. So what you have to do is sign up your New Year's resolution, write your New Year's resolution, sign your name, put your name down, take a picture of that and send it to us, SMS to my cell phone. We're going to look at that. Then we will tell you, from an astrological point, he's going to tell you whether your New Year's resolution is going to be successful, plus giving all the traits of your character and
That's
things.
amazing.
Yes, and I'm going to give you 7 steps to a New Year's resolution. So that is our plan for the year end. So let's get back to the teen trouble in the Desi country. So we are talking to Ashok Jain, who is a board certified psychiatrist. He practices in Sugar Land. What are all the places you go to? And what is your phone number if people want to? Because nobody wants to call here and tell my teenager is having a problem. But maybe they can call you. So please give your name and your address and the phone number first.
Well, like Nick said, I'm Dr. Jain, and my office phone number is 281-302-6636. I repeat, 281-302-6636. I am right in heart of Sugar Land, next to St. Luke's Hospital, and I just want to also relay that whatever we do is strictly confidential, especially in psychiatry. It's much more confidential than any other specialty, and we treat a lot of teenagers. Of course, we treat a lot of Desi adult population too, and we take a really pride in serving the community to the best of our capacities. So I do other places too. I am also executive medical director of Bel Air Hospital.
Yeah.
I go there and regulate the psychiatrists. We have 9 psychiatrists and 6 physicians and 801 employees. And also I manage the Fort Bend County jail system, believe it or not, where we monitor all the mental health needs in Fort Bend County jail system. So, and of course we provide services to the local school system to all the kids in juvenile for all the different kind of problems, you name it: depression, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, addiction problems, behavior issues, relationship problems, a lot of issues. We address that, and I see all varied kind of patient population.
Okay, let's get back to the teen troubles in the Desi land. We talked about drugs, we talked about performance pressure from inside the family, especially from the parents. What are the kinds of problems do you encounter, like the emotional problems or like real psychiatric problems?
Yes, thanks, Nick. Let's get next to my next, which is very important topic, is the unseen, undiagnosed emotional problems these teenagers feel. So there's a lot of prevalence of depression in our teenagers. You know. And another topic I would love to discuss someday is the ADHD, which leads to the attention deficit hyperactivity.
I think we need a whole hour for that ADHD.
I know.
Let's set it up next year.
We'll do that.
That's
my new resolution.
You got a new resolution. We will make sure you get it accomplished because I have already written the notes for the 7 steps to taking care of your New Year's resolution. We will make sure you can get your new resolutions accomplished. Okay. No, really, I think we need you to come back and talk about
I would love to be
attention deficit disorder.
So, the depression is a very major problem. I see a lot of, especially I see that a common denominator in the people who are in high school.
Yes.
This is a major problem because they're trying to perform to the best of their capacity. There's a lot of sibling and then peer pressures. And then don't forget, depression itself is the underlying disease. It's like diabetes or blood pressure.
So it could be familial.
Right. It could be familial. It could be without any reason. It could be inflammation in temporal lobe, basically.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's I want the parents to think that it could be. You can think it like a neurological problem rather than a habit, a bad habit,
emotional problem.
Right. So it is endogenous problem too. A lot of teenagers, they may not have any peer pressure. You could be the president of USA and you still can suffer from the same disease
Depression,
process. So, but the problem with teenagers is it's very much underdiagnosed. I had a well-known physician in the community, radiologist, and what happened that she went in the morning and afternoon. She has only one kid, 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And she came back, and the nanny was at home, and the kid was dead in the closet with a partial hanging.
Ooh.
And there was no sign and symptoms of depression, and he died. And this mother is now my patient. He was devastated, you know.
That's really, heartbreaking.
And it happens a lot, actually.
Yeah.
You know, we see that in Clements High School there was few years back a very high achiever, Asian teenager killed himself, you know. So the suicide is a very, very devastating and very, very common event in our society, you know. And we unfortunately realize that only when after it happens, rather than be proactive in recognizing whether my kid is depressed, whether they are depressed, why they are depressed, what we need to do about it. And that recognition has to be done. Maybe the parents are not able to recognize it because there's a lot of subtleties into it. It is masked depression. It is not very obvious.
Yeah.
So they need to be brought to the professionals, and it could be a school counselor, it could be psychiatrists like me, or any counselor in the community. All the parents need to do is call their insurance company and ask who's the counselor or the psychiatrist in the community who take the insurance, and then get it assessed.
You know, Ashok, I mean, you captivated my interest so much. I didn't even realize we have been talking for 27 minutes here. And it looks like we haven't even scratched the surface. Before we get kicked off the air, give us your office number and location, the phone number, because
Sure,
I'm sure there are some people who want to talk to you. They don't want to get on the radio. I mean, I can understand that.
Please. Feel free to call me at my office anytime, 281-302-6636. 281-302-6636. And my address is 1201 Creekway Drive, Sugarland, 77478. You might Google me. You can simply say Dr. Jain, and only I will pop up over there. And if you say Dr. Jain in Sugarland, then you can go through the website and access our services. Anytime, please call us. Don't sit on it. That's my advice.
You are listening to All India Radio Houston. It's been a wonderful afternoon, and we will be right back next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much, Nick, for having me.
You are listening to All India Radio Houston on 1090 AM. This is a talk show where we focus on one or two topics in depth on a variety of subjects. If you would like to hear on a particular topic, call us or send us an email, and we will try to get experts to share their views and opinions. If you would like to be a guest on this program and share your views, please give us a call at 281-265-7567 or send us an email at drniknikam@gmail.com.